So, does this make any sense to you? CP1154A3. I don't think it makes any sense, right? No, because it doesn't have any context yet. So my name is Ingemar Svensson. I'm a senior advisor to COMINTELLI, and I will talk to you about how to make information intelligible. So, information that is processed data. It's not data, it's meaningful data, okay? And it's not knowledge. And intelligible means capable of being understood or comprehended. So if I say that how to make information intelligible, it means that I will tell you how to make sense of meaningful data. And data is growing. Maybe you have seen this phrase before, is quite commonly known, and it has been in many presentations. 90% of the data in the world today has been created in the last 2 years. And it was made by Ralph Jacobson from IBM 7 years ago, so this is hopelessly outdated. Data growth is continuing, and it is exponential. And it's becoming very difficult to understand what these volumes really mean. But to make a try here, in 2019, on an average day, 294 billion emails were sent each day. That is a lot of data. 500 million tweets were done. I think a considerable amount of them were made by US President Donald Trump. 95 million photos shared on Instagram. So it's huge numbers. And IDC, the research company, they have predicted that by 2025 there will be about 163 zettabytes of digital information on the internet. I mean, 163 zettabytes, it's a lot of zeros, and we don't understand how much it is. But to give a perspective, Cisco, they talked about the zettabyte reality back in 2015, that we were closing to have 1 zettabyte of data on the internet. And today we have about 2 zettabytes of information. And still, to put this in perspective again, DNA holds data. So if we take all the data on the internet today and convert it into DNA, it will weigh about 1,500 kilos. And by 2025, this blob of DNA will weigh more than 100,000 kilos. So the data growth is truly exponential. It has a lot to do with Internet of Things and digitalization, machine-to-machine communication. Like this Accra group, the body robot, it generates a lot of data. Or Christian talking about text analytics, also extreme amounts of data. So it's a lot of noise, of course. But we need to filter this. We need to make sense of this. So digitalization is impacting everything, and the future doesn't look like it used to do. The world is becoming more complex, and we have a lot of different global trends, digitalization, urbanization. It's impacting the technology, the innovation, it's impacting how we live our lives, it's impacting how we do business. Industries are merging, so new business models are erupting. And all this is impacting how consumers consume and their needs. And this, for market researchers, makes it more difficult. It makes it more difficult for you to understand what's going on. Because how are you going to structure and coordinate all the data to make sense of it? How are you going to generate insights that are important to you and try to predict what's going on? For instance, people who work with marketing automation, it's about creating and doing very strategic and directed marketing activities to a group of people or maybe just one individual. But if you haven't done the analysis, it will just become spam, and it's no use of. I mean, it's worthless. You don't spend time and effort like that. So what you need to understand is that we are now moving from one paradigm to another paradigm when it comes to insights generation. Information was usually difficult to find. Information could be confidential, but today information is more abundant than ever before. And we share information willingly and unwillingly. We leave traces in the digital world. And we have GDPR, of course, but we still leave a lot of information. So information is everywhere. And insights used to be generated by few people for very few people to use. It could be a market analyst that created something for a CMO or something like that. But today, with the technology, we're all becoming more or less users of insights and also producers of insights, thanks to the different apps and platforms and so forth. Work used to be very manual and repetitive. It was difficult to reuse information. But today, with the automated work and technology, it's becoming much easier. And analytics is becoming AI-based, which means that AI and machine learning is becoming more relevant to use. And thanks to AI's artificial intelligence ability to sort and structure huge and massive amounts of data, you will be able to find things that you even didn't know that you were looking for. You will identify the unknowns. And that is the biggest benefit with artificial intelligence. So we used to do static reports and send a PDF and an email. Today we have collaboration platforms and we have interactive real-time analytics. And also with the AI, you're able to use graphic interfaces to see with your eyes how these islands of information are connected to each other. So it's a huge benefit. So what I'm trying to say is that you need to, if you don't already do it today, you need to start working with applications AI-based. So here is a example of a visualization tool. It's a transformation map from World Economic Forum, and it's a knowledge tool that helps users to explore more than 120 different topics in this graphic interface. So here you can go in and you click on topics and you see directly how they are interlinked and how they are connected. So this is perfect for a market researcher to learn about how oceans are connected to technology innovation, to mass extinction, to climate change, and to how people live their lives. Another example of how to visualize data is Intelligence Today, which is a platform that automatically gathers and collects massive amounts of data, then structure them and make them searchable for researchers. So this here is a dashboard over the automobile industry, the car industry. And with functions like the trend clusters and signal spotter, you can go in here and, as I said before, you can find stuff that you didn't even know that you were looking for. For instance, it says electric and Volkswagen. You go in there and you play with the data and you drill down into the data and you will see how electric and Volkswagen is connected to payment apps and to single mothers and to circular economy and stuff like that. So this is a huge help because this is AI-based, and I repeat it again, it helps you to identify the unknowns that you didn't even know that you needed, okay? But AI should not be used entirely by itself, because AI, it's a weighted average of everything. If you have an AI, it's someone programmed the algorithms to create that artificial intelligence. And programmers are subjective creatures like all of us. They're biased by their upbringing, by their nationality, gender, age. So if you have the same data set and you run it through a artificial intelligence platform that created in France and another one in US and another one in India, you will get slightly different outputs. So what you need is a person to validate and to question the output, to play with it, actually. And there's a lot to be gained from man-machine interaction. For instance, this question here, which 2 Russian political leaders traded jobs in the last 5 years? If you have an artificial intelligence platform that is structured, it will give you the answer in a split second. If I don't have that, I will have to go onto the internet and start looking for information, and it would take me a couple of minutes or a half an hour or something. Being an analyst, I think this is really great if a smart machine can help me with the first question, because I want to work with the second question. The answer to the second question is much more important. Will those same Russian political leaders change jobs in the next 5 years? If you have the answer to that question, you can actually decide if you should invest money in a new factory in Russia. So to answer this question, you need to leverage on more than just AI. You need to have understanding of Putin and Medvedev. You need to understand the political system in Russia. You need to know history from the Soviet Union, etc. So it requires competence and perspective and creativity. This example, by the way, is from the book Super Forecasting by Philip Tetlock. It's a really, really good book that you should read, Super Forecasting. So here an example of how man-machine interaction can create some output. Companies know more and more about us. Companies observe us because we leave traces willingly and unwillingly. And here, for instance, Walmart, they put sensors on the handles of the carts in the shops. And they put some geolocation device also on each cart. So they could then measure heart rate in different areas in the shop. So they could measure real time how different market messages were impacting the shopper when they were walking around. Land Rover and Jaguar, they did a joint venture together where they put some sensor into the car to detect motion sickness. And when the sensors felt that, aha, this person seems to be feeling ill, the car would automatically lower the temperature and increase the airflow into the car. So the takeaway here is that custom made will mean something very, very different in the future. So this is an insight that we didn't know a couple of minutes ago. It sounds very obvious, of course, but to reach here, to come here, you need AI and you need to have a discussion. You need to collaborate and talk about what this means. So how to make information intelligible is you take new information like this. Customization in the future will be very different. And you pair this with existing customer information, understanding. You put it into context. So say that you have your mother, your customer is a single mom, works hard, she's very stressed, not too much money. In the future, everything will be super customized. You take this information and you play with it, and you discuss it with your peers and your colleagues, and you create a new vision, and eventually you reach a new customer insight that you want to push. Maybe single moms, they want a luxury carpool service with space for the kids and the trolleys, or you do something else. The key thing here is that I say it again, you use the AI to create new insights, where you identify the stuff that you didn't know that you needed, and then you link it, you pair it with existing information, and you mold it, and you get this information. So analysis is everything, okay? This doesn't make any sense, but let's put some context. AirPods. Apple, they sold 60 million AirPods last year. about 50% market share they have. And one AirPod costs about $160 to $250. For 2020, the forecast is that they will sell 90 million AirPods. So it's a lot of money here. And market analysts, they wanted to know, who are providing the components here? Because if you know, it's good information that you can make money on. So who is providing the battery, for instance? Apple wouldn't say, the battery providers wouldn't say. So then Stefan Klepp, a market analyst in Germany at Commerzbank, he bought a pair of AirPods, went back to the office, and then he smashed them open. And in there, he could see the battery. So now we're starting to get some context here. CP1154A3 and some information on Germany. That's what he found. So then he started to look for more information and found out pretty soon that CP stands for coin power. 11 is the battery diameter. 54 is then the battery height in millimeter, 5.4. And then other information, and it was manufactured in Germany. And then the only company that describes the information printed on the battery like this is Varta. Okay? So based on this information, this was the analysis that he did. He made a buy recommendation on Varta stock to increase. He increased the buy recommendation 10%. And actually Varta last year rose from 25 to 100 euro, 400%, 4 times, due to this information, but also to other information. So what I'm trying to say is that analysis is everything. It's really, really important. So to summarize here, the world is becoming more complex due to digitalization. Data growth is exponential. There's a lot of information that is created. A lot of it is noise, and it has to be sorted out. Customers are becoming more complex also because of all these new needs and all new potential activities that they can do and work. So this makes your job much harder, and therefore you need to leverage on AI, on artificial intelligence. And AI is not enough. You need to play with the data because AI is a weighted average. So when it comes to investigation, you need to massage the data. You have to play with it. And to make information intelligible, it has to be put into context. And above all, remember that analysis is everything. Merci.
Thank you.